And we're back. We're back in the shop. Man, it feels weird to be on camera again, but we're doing it. So most rear wheel drive cars will have a subframe in the middle that supports the engine, that holds all the suspension components, that holds the steering rack, that holds everything. Now with the Eclipse, and I'm sure many other cars, my subframe sits underneath the firewall. So instead of, like you see where my strut towers are, instead of, if the subframe was here, all the suspension components being on the back side towards the rear end of the car, all my suspension components are on the front of the subframe because the subframe sits down there. So I have, let's see if I can show you guys, there's a chunk of solid frame right here that goes, it's basically my frame rails, that goes all the way around, and then the subframe, and between that chunk of frame and my front subframe, there's not enough room for a transmission. So we have to notch the subframe. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this completely in half and basically put that there. Closer to the bottom, we'll put plates on the end of it, and then we'll tie everything into this, and then we'll close up the holes. And this, because this is a 1/4 inch thick, like it's pretty thick stuff. So this will actually be heavier and stronger than this sheet metal. What I'm gonna do right now, set up a wire wheel on my grinder, get rid of all the rust, get rid of the tape, make lines, and we're gonna get into this. A transmission isn't a perfect circle, but it's a circle nonetheless. So the subframe notch will be here like this. This bottom section of the circle, the belt housing basically, is always going to be the smallest section. So this distance right in the center is too high to care. That's not our problem. We are only worried about this bottom section here, and that's where we have to notch the subframe out for. Alright, and that's that. So now the next part is what gets extremely meticulous, because this is, as much as it seems like I didn't care about that, this is what holds my suspension. This is what basically makes the front end of my car go straight. So we're gonna close this up, clean it all up, get it prepped for welding, install that in there. Once this is installed in the car and tightened up, then we install all of this, all these new parts. It sounds silly and it sounds like a big waste of time, but if this distorts and nothing here fits, we're screwed. So the idea is to install everything so that the control arms, the coilovers, everything here fights the distortion. Okay guys, so I took it out of the car. Screw this thing. So there it is. Shoddy welds. Just cleaned up. And we're back. Alright, obviously we're ready to weld. So we have prepped the surface right here. I was pointing at the wrong side. So I prepped the surface. Lean focus. There we go. Prep the surface, grind down that weld. So now, to make sure we get the placement kind of right, I made these little plates, nice 1/4 inch thick plate. I'm going to basically take a piece of the cutoff of the same square tubing. I'm going to just tack it onto here with some overhang. And then we're going to take that overhang, we're going to weld it, because once this is sitting flat against that, then we can weld this overhang right where it needs to go, and then line up the other side, and we're good. We just got 2 tacks on there, just holding it. I'll clean those tacks off, grind them out, and we'll weld it on, probably with TIG. Make sure it's on there nice and good. So we got this on with the overhang, so now that bar will sit on the overhang. Magic of YouTube. And we have both. Both are done, same amount of overhang this way and this way. So they're good. Now the bar has something to rest on. Not my absolute best welds. Running over those other tacks was kind of crappy, but it's on and they're not moving. So now we're gonna bring those halves, looking cool for a minute, bring those halves in here. We're gonna wire brush all these threads on these bolts, clean them up as nice as I can, figure out what size sockets they all are, and then we're gonna start assembling. So it is tightened down, torqued down, so now the next steps are to continue building it. And this side is done, so I had to put the old knuckle in because apparently I didn't loosen the bolts and my exhaust just fell over. My impact died, so sorry. No, you're okay. My impact died, so I couldn't get these off to get the hub out, which is fine because it's all gonna come apart anyways and get cleaned up. So this is it. Everything's just loose there, but there is weight on everything, which was the whole idea of this. So now we just gotta get to the other side and do that. So once this side looks like that side, which you can't even see because it's dark, we will be ready to be finished and start welding. So with some YouTube magic. And just like that, the entire subframe is built. Walk around. The only thing not in are the new hubs. Obviously, my impact broke and I couldn't get the old ones out. These, on both sides, the front subframe mounts are holding the front of the subframe right where it needs to be. Doesn't move. Then the rear mounts are holding that. The sway bar mounts are holding it at the proper distance. And then all the weight. So now, it's gonna go right there, just like that. So I'll rest it up on these feet like this, and boom, just like that. So I'm gonna end the video for the day here. I'm just gonna quickly take some measurements, jot them down on my phone, and then take that piece of tubing to work on Monday. Today's Saturday, to work on Monday, and then get it cut it like a 1/16 too big, and then I'll shave it down slowly until it fits really snug. Taking my time is worth it. I know it sucks for the content, but it's got to be done right. So super close. We're just gonna cut the tubing, get at it. See you in a couple days. What's up, guys? We are back again. It's been quite a few days now. This project has taken me quite some time to do. It's just one thing after another that I have to leave for, and not living in the same city as my shop anymore, it just makes for a huge mess, but we're back. So let's get right back into where we left off. We also took this piece of metal to work, cut it at 14 1/8. You still kind of see it in soapstone right there. So I cut that on the bandsaw so that I knew it was super straight at 14 1/8. Now I will explain my thought process behind that. Here's the piece we cut off. So this would be the top section of the piece. Sorry, my heater is on it. Hopefully you guys can hear me. The camera is showing that you guys can. So what I did was I measured this at the bottom, because the pole will be at the bottom side to give us more room. At the bottom, we are looking at 14 1/16. We got to take into account the blade thickness times 2, because 1 cut, 2 cut blade thickness. Hey, I wish you guys could see Like it's literally the same height. So yes. So what I did is I took a grinder and I carefully ground down one side till the whole thing was down to 14 1/16. Then I picked the side that was closest. I accidentally wrote top on it and then changed it to bottom. So this is your 14 1/16. Right, if I can measure, use a measuring tape, 14 1/16. Then I took I have this like angle finder, set it to exactly 90. Flip this guy over. And I did that, measured the gap, same with the other side, measured the gap. And that gave me on one side, 3/16 of a gap. And on the other side, I got a 1/4 inch, or no, 3/32 gap and just under a 1/4 inch. So then I marked the 1/4 on one side, the 3/32 or just under 3/32. It's basically 3/32 on one side, and the 1/4 on the other. So I will cut there, but I'll leave it on the inside of the line so I can make small adjustments and then follow the line down to the 14 1/16. We're gonna cut this metal on those marks I just showed you, and then hopefully it slides right into place. Let's do it. And we're back. Okay, so we have the welder set up. I ground down the proper tungstens, have everything set up to weld. We ground down the metal. We cleaned it up with some like super strong cleaner. Took a Dremel to the inside of the subframe pieces because I couldn't reach my grinder in there. So I'm gonna try and show you guys the fitment. Stupid camera. You can see like there's a tiny, like not even a 16th gap there. Okay guys, so it's officially welded in. Yeah, so I did have to touch up a couple spots with my other welder just because it was super hard to get in under the stab bar because I didn't want to move anything because I didn't want it to move, and I had to weld some of the stuff from inside the car. So I've been at this for a while, just doing a little portion, stop, little portion, stop. So now it's all solid, so we're gonna let it cool, and then I can basically drop it, take it to a bench, clean everything, grind it all down, clean it all up, get as much of the rust off as we can, and then powder coat or paint it, whatever one I decide to do. But it's officially notched and ready. Look at that. So much room for activities. So, because there's a ton more work to do and none of it's really anything you want to see, it's just basically take out a hub, grind some, paint. There's one control arm I have to adjust in the rear because I tightened down the whole rear before I did the control arm. So that's gonna happen, and then clean out my trunk because my entire interior is in the trunk right now. It's a disaster in there. So that's gotta happen to get the coils in, and then everything's gotta be torqued down, and then the car can come down for the first time and be on the ground for the first time in over a year, maybe even almost 2. So finally the subframe is notched for the whatever engine and trans ends up going in there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking through. I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video, had a lot of life changes, but we're getting there, and we have another project. I think I mentioned it earlier in this video, but we do have another project, and the next video you will see that project, and I've already started accumulating parts for it. So like, comment, subscribe, show me that you're watching. Have a good night. Peace.